Yeah. All right, welcome back to Texas A&M Aggies Live, part of the Voice of College Football Network. I'm your host, Cameron Honesty. You can tell I'm a little tired today. I'm already screwing up my words. Joined as always by my co-host, Kenan Torres, who was at the Texas A&M Missouri game last night. Obviously, I don't think we have to tell all of you, but Texas A&M blew out the Tigers 38-17. It was a game where the Aggies led 14-0 at the half, came out swinging with a long 48-yard touchdown to Casey Concepcion, up 21-0, and really outside of a couple explosive runs and maybe one good drive by Missouri, A&M dominated this game from start to finish. Defense was incredible, and I think we'll spend maybe 10 minutes talking about junior safety Dalton Brooks, who had the game of his life, and great to see that young man just thrive and really show off his athleticism.
Yeah, really, really nice showing. I mean, I got to come out here. I'm currently in a nondescript hotel right outside of
so sketchy.
Yeah, but if my Wi-Fi ever does cut in and out, you guys know why. But yeah, I got to head out to Columbia. It would have been my second ever SEC road trip. Mm-hmm. So first time ever seeing a game day here in Columbia. Mm-hmm. Really, really nice. Other than the part at the end where all the fans were pretty much gone.
Yeah.
But I did get some good video of all the scores and everything like that. But yeah, let's first talk about this first half. I think it was a great showing by this defense in the first half of bend, don't break. I mean, they led 14-0 going into it. Apart from a huge run by Jamal Roberts to start, I believe that was either Jamal Roberts or Ahmad Hardy. Either one.
It was Ahmad Hardy. He had a 40-yard run because they had, I think it was total of 45 yards total. So they got that that chunk gain, and then really it was Jamal Roberts. I think Jamal
Roberts had a great first half. I think Ahmad Hardy only had 3 carries going into the second half. Apart from that big run. But apart from that, this Aggie defense was bend, don't break in that first half, and they really contained that run game up until that point. I know the final box score is going to say over 200 yards of rushing for the Tigers, but that first half really was just containing the run, trying to force them back inside, not let them bounce outside. And you saw what happened when they bounced it outside. They were able to get these longer runs up the sideline. They did a very, very good job in that first half of containing Matt Zollers. We even saw that a couple of the interviews after the game, it looked like left tackle Caden Green had some comments afterwards saying that this Aggie defense was able to kind of manipulate this offense and kind of call out what their plays were doing, kind of recognizing their plays in that second half as well. So really, really good recognition by the defense. And that's just a testament to what defensive coach like Mike Elko has brought, apart from having Tarian York on that defense to kind of audible all of his players out there. So my thoughts so far, I mean, that first half really was, a lot of the watching was, man, you're up 14-0, but it really just feels like a 0-0 game at this point, where you really struggled the first couple of drives to get things up and off the ground, whether it was missed passes over the middle, a couple of sketchy passes in that first half, but I think that second half they picked it up. We saw a lot of EJ Smith. We saw a lot of Jamarian Morrow. I think Jamarian Morrow got over 30% of the offensive running back snaps last night, which kudos to them. And then finally broke through with a couple touchdowns and then a great, and I mean great, left linebacker blitz by Damian Sanford up the middle to strip the ball out of Matt Zoller's hand. Dalton Brooks picks it up immediately, who was also blitzing off of that other side, and runs it all the way back over to the 2, sets up the Aggies for an easy touchdown on the ground. So your thoughts of that first half?
Yeah, it was really a game script type of matchup to where I did like that Colin Klein was sticking to the RPO game plan, short passes, get the ball out quick. Marcel Reed was kind of dancing around a little bit. He did there was a moment where he looked a little unsure sometimes. This is a very fast, aggressive, physical defense you're playing. I mean, Missouri is one of the top-ranked defenses for a reason. They can kind of get in your head early. They got a lot of guys at the line of scrimmage with a lot of length, can bat those balls down. That happened a couple times. There's one. I don't know if that was the second half. It was the wide open pass to Casey Concepcion that kind of wilted and hit the ground. I believe that was hit the line of
second half.
I believe that was hit the line of scrimmage too, because I see a lot of people who are kind of thinking, well, how couldn't he get the ball there? I'm like, no. They've been doing that all day. They've been getting a hand up. Marcel Reed, he wouldn't be starting quarterback if he couldn't throw that pass. But it was that type of game where you needed to utilize your playmakers, which they did. I mean, we talked about Casey Concepcion, that 48-yard touchdown, which really broke this game wide open in the second half. But the first, focusing on that, I think that this is the way that A&M has to win games, is they have to play that type of physical defense where we are going to pressure the crap out of you, and our secondary is going to hold up, because throughout this season, they haven't allowed too many explosive plays. That pass from Zollers to, I can't remember his last name, one of their kind of rising wide receivers.
Donovan Alubade.
Thank you. Again, that was good coverage, right? That you
can't coverage, and man, Donovan Alubade is a talented
He's going to be a very good player for
amazing.
And same with Zollers, right? Watching Matt Zollers, he's a freshman. He's from Pennsylvania, and as we've seen, Pennsylvania quarterbacks end up going to the Hall of Fame sometimes. So I think he's going to end up being a very good quarterback. I think with that system, it's just he's green. He's I think I love how one of the announcers said he's sick, or it was one of the post game shows said he's like 6 months removed from his prom, playing against Texas A&M, the number 3 team in the country.
Yeah, let's focus on that. I want to first before we go into the apparent thrashing of Texas A&M versus Missouri, I want to give Missouri their credit. I think that this box score is not going to have a lot of the kudos that should go out to this offensive group. While Matt Zollers, I think even under 100 yards,
77 yards total,
under 100 yards passing. From our vantage point at that game, it looked like he was able to be poised back there. Like that was the story, that you have a true freshman come in who's only played in a quarter and a half of football already against Vanderbilt, to come into this game and be poised throughout that game and try and execute this offense, albeit a major rushing offense. It was kind of cool to see. I think Matt Zollers and their offensive staff deserve a bunch of credit, even if they were only able to put 17 points up. But a lot of kudos go out to Jamal Roberts and Ahmad Hardy. A lot of kudos go out to the tackles for Missouri as well. I think they had a pretty good game, even though the PFF grades and stuff aren't going to show up as much for them. I think that when they were able to bounce it outside, they had pretty good success. So I'm ready to see what Missouri has these last 3 games.
Yeah, and I think if Eli Drinkwitz stays there, I think their future is very bright. I think that if you have a guy like Zollers who's going to learn the system, he's got the arm talent. We've already seen that. He's got the poise. He's a tough kid. And if you do have this type of running game, because again, we'll go into it, A&M's run defense was not good. I mean, they had their moments where they cleaned things up in the second half, but they allowed 2 rushing 100-yard rush performances. I think Jamal Roberts had 110 and a touchdown. Ahmad Hardy had 109 and a touchdown. Both were averaging 6.5 and 8.4 yards per carry. So again, that is a problem, but at the same time,
we knew this was going to happen.
Yeah. If Missouri fans see this game and think, oh God, the sky is falling, it's not. Okay. You're 6-3, you're 2-3 in the SEC, but the SEC this year, there's only really a handful of dominant teams, and I'm being one of them. And if you can build off of this and you can use this formula against other teams, you're going to win some games down the stretch, and you're going to have a chance, because A&M is 9-0 for a reason. Because like we said, their defensive structure is, we're going to pressure you. We're going to make you stay in the pocket. We're going to make you throw errant throws. We're going to be good enough against the run in spurts to not allow consistency. And if we allow those explosive runs every once in a while, but we're up by 15 to 20 points, who cares? That's just how it is this season. Because when you kind of look at the interior right now, Albert Regis is your best run stopper. He got banged up a little bit. You do have some issues with the linebacker core getting I'm trying to think of the Ahmad Hardy run play that they gained that had about a 40-yard run, or that he had about a 40-yard run with in the first half. That's been an issue for A&M all season in countering that. And I don't know if it's going to be fixed, to be honest with you, going forward. I think it's just one of those things. It's just a weakness. We go into every season looking at the strengths and weaknesses for every team. And this is just something that it's probably going to happen. You just hope that your offense can score enough points for that not to matter when a guy, runs for 50 yards. And,
Exactly.
and we saw that against UTSA. We saw that against actually, really, if I look back, I think it's really just UTSA right now. And
Arkansas too.
And Arkansas, yeah, as well. I mean, those are physical run teams, right? Those are teams that are trying to run the ball every other play. Arkansas, that is a little bit of a different game because Taylor Green, is Taylor Green. He plays like a Heisman candidate every other game, and then but they do want to run the ball as much as possible. And Missouri and Arkansas are very similar in that way. So it's not surprising that A&M defensively has given up a lot of yards in that aspect.
Yes.
But when you win 38-17, it just doesn't matter.
I think the second half, and we'll get to the Aggies here in a second, but the second half is kind of what we've seen so far. It's kind of been this storyline that they bend in the first half, and then they break the other team in the second half. Mm-hmm. That's kind of been what this story is, even though you were up 14-0 in the first half. That second half, these plays opened up for them. And you saw that with the 57-yard run by Ruben Owens. You saw that with a lot of physicality from E.J. Smith, who I have to give a lot of flowers to, who has stepped up ever since he came in those previous or started those SEC games. He just proved that he is able to be on this field and be a productive back as well. So,
I mean, what they're getting from Ruben Owens right now just further proves that he's going to be the starter going into next season. I think this was an audition for him. I think with Le'Veon Moss out, we do believe he's most likely going to return during the regular season. I would think right now, either Stanford or Texas. I do not think I would doubt that he's going to play against South Carolina in the early game. And again, if this is your audition, you are passing with flying colors every week. I mean, not just the 57-yard run, which was the longest run for Texas A&M this season, I believe.
It is.
He's showing that he's healthy. He understands the offense. He understands his role perfectly. He's stepping up as a leader. And, I mean, again, we do consider Le'Veon Moss maybe one of the best players on this team. So the fact that you're doing this without him healthy on the field contributing, that's a good sign for this offense moving forward, because if you can get through these next two games, and we'll obviously preview that on Tuesday with South Carolina, you're setting up for an 11-0, possibly, 8-3, 9-2, potentially Texas team.
We'll see how Texas is going to be, because they could be one of those teams. So
yeah, and if Le'Veon Moss is back for that game, again, you can really start looking forward to the college football playoff and look at the matchups ahead of the potential teams that are going to play. And A&M is going to be a complete mismatch offensively. And now we already know what this defense can do. And here's the thing. Watching that game last night and really going through the film and looking at, where they lacked a little bit defensively, I still think this is one of the best defenses in the country, just because of the way I guess you look at the havoc plays and just the way they're flying all around the field. And the fact that Torrin York, who has been beyond excellent all season, had kind of a bad game. Wasn't great. Missed a couple tackles there, and that's the thing with some of this running success that Missouri had. It was just missed tackles. These guys weren't out of position. They just couldn't finish the job because, to be honest, give credit to Jamal Roberts. He's a very tough runner. That's somebody who's going to take two guys to take him down sometimes. If he's got, momentum in front of him, it's, again, it's a very tough team to stop consistently. The fact that they did it for most of the game, only allowing 17 points. We have to remember they also went for it on fourth down when they missed the field goal, and stopped them then. Like, it was an elite defensive effort. It's just people are going to look, and again, outside people who didn't watch the game, who are going to look at the stats and go, well, you allowed over 200 plus yards. Like, it wasn't that great. You got to watch the game. You got to look at the totality of the performance. And I got to give credit. The cornerbacks were excellent. Willie, Des Ricks were shut down for most of the game. I'm just saying, look, I get they're playing against a third-string quarterback. I really don't care about that narrative because Vanderbilt's defense, outside of last night when
they have been incredible
they've been great outside of last night. But guess what? That's the same as A&M. A&M had a lapse against Arkansas, so we can't really judge that and go, well, Vanderbilt's defense isn't good. Matt Zollers had a pretty good showing against that Vanderbilt defense. He was pretty efficient. And again, A&M completely shut that young man down from start to finish. So you go forward and you look at the QB matchups that this defense is going to face. Again, it's not terrorizing. I would just say, I like Arch Manning is really the only guy I'm looking at right now to see how he plays next week against Georgia. And look,
I'm a Lenore Sellers guy, Cameron.
Yeah, I mean, but that's more of a run. See, that's more of a run Fitz thing.
Well, right? We have seen him go against A&M before, and he himself, I mean, broke 17 tackles, what it seemed like last year against the Aggies. So that's also one. I'm not discounting what you're saying. I think that it's too far of a look ahead to look against Texas and say that this South Carolina team will be a breeze, and we'll preview that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that. I think I've watched South Carolina enough this season. I know that they're just not a good team. I know that they are a struggling team, and especially in the passing game. And that's where I do understand the whole thing about Lenore Sellers and how he's such a threat as an athlete, right? As a quarterback, as somebody who's going to beat you in the pocket, A&M's not scared of that. But what they worry about is leaving wide open gaps for him to just exploit, especially in an early game. For that's and I'm going to be honest, the fact that Torrey Nork had a bad game is probably a good thing, because if those guys are having a bad game, if they get Scooby Williams back for this game, obviously missed Saturday with an undisclosed injury, I think your linebacker core is going to play very, very well, and that's a good sign, because those are the guys that need to step up, because Lenore Sellers is not playing well at all as a quarterback. He just doesn't. As a quarterback, yes. There's no rhythm there. But as an athlete, as somebody who can, go Johnny Manziel on you, yeah, that's going to be the problem. We'll obviously get into that Tuesday. But yeah, looking ahead, you look at even the rest of college football right now of the quarterback tiers of where you're at, and I mean, you can say that Marcel Reed, is playing at a Heisman level while Arch Manning has actually better passing stats than him. It doesn't mean anything. It's just the situation, how comfortable these guys are in offenses. And if you look at how Marcel Reed's playing right now, he's in complete control of what's going on here. And I think we can really shift into that.
You're absolutely right. And before we shift into that, I mean, the one narrative that we have to kind of break right now, am I the only one feeling this?
I mean, now we don't have to hear that joke anymore.
It's gone.
That's all I'm saying.
It's completely gone.
The dumbest joke ever. I'm glad the 8-4 program. I mean, can't say it now. You got to say 9-3. I guess that's going to be the new joke. But that's not even bad, because teams can get in the college football playoff with 9-3 records. So it just does. No, trust me. I loved it. We could talk about the narrative that I sent you last night about how, A&M's wins aren't that good. This is coming. I mean, when A&M is 9-0 and 6-0 in the SEC, the others are not happy. They don't like that it's not 8-4, because if it's 8-4, they don't have to worry about the Aggies. Now you got to worry about the Aggies. Now you got to dissect them, and you got to go, well, actually, they fired all their coaches, or actually, I don't know if that's a good win. No, undefeated doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's a great feeling, especially for all the older Aggies who are out there who have been dealing with this since Slocum left. It's been so average, and you look back to the fact that they hadn't won 9 games since the
92.
9-0 since 92. 9 wins in a season since, I believe, 2020.
2020.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
When they went 9-1.
Well, and that's why Mike Elko after the game basically said, we're finally looking to finish strong. Like, you had to get over this hurdle, and that's the biggest thing. If we're looking at it from an outside perspective, you take away third-string quarterback, all these problems. You're still playing on the road in Columbia, and one of the toughest places to play. Again, Missouri had virtually been unbeaten, it seemed like, at home, and you dominated that game from start to finish. So you did send a message, and you are playing like one of the remaining undefeated teams. So just, we're going to hear these narratives all week long. I already saw they did not move up in the U.S. LBM coaches poll. They stayed at number 3. That's not shocking given the fact that Ohio State and Indiana had also won.
Indiana had an incredible game.
Yeah. Just the catch, the throw, all of it was insane.
But for this, the narrative of the 8-4 is over, and we projected that this would happen because of Mike Elko coming in. And I think people and kudos to a friend over at on 3 JD Piquel, who kind of encapsulated it perfectly when he recapped it. This Aggie team, people have trouble kind of getting over the logos and certain narratives that go along with those logos.
100%.
So when a logo kind of gets over that certain one, it then cocks your head. It changes your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have this team that is now 9-0, you are now able to create that new narrative. So I think that's really important to watch as we go throughout this season. What is the narrative that Mike Elko and his team, which we've talked about all season, being gritty, tough, determined, all of these things that he's instilled in his culture that are going to progress along even after this year?
I mean, 12-0. I think that's the goal right now. It's 12-0. It's getting to the SEC championship game. I think they know they're in the college football playoff. Mike Elko's not going to say it.
96% chance to make it.
You win, like you said. You beat South Carolina, you beat Stanford, you're automatically in. And it's just about seeding right now. But they do know that you want that bye. You want that quarterfinal bye. You want to get to the SEC championship game for the first time in program history and potentially play a team like Alabama, who anybody talking about the teams they beat not being that good, they're playing the bottom of the barrel of the SEC, which doesn't make sense because we have no idea how these teams are going to play out the rest of the season. When we play them, they are tough. This is a dumb narrative. We could have used that for Texas last year, which is really funny when I see Texas fans saying that. You were the ones defending your schedule last year. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just saying we do this every year with teams that are undefeated because it's either they hate they're undefeated, they're trying to question every win. Doesn't matter. 9-0 is all that matters. But I think it's just very clear to Elko, his staff, and that team that look, we can finish undefeated. And we can get to Atlanta and probably prove those doubters wrong even more so against a quote-unquote top SEC team, whether you're playing Georgia, Alabama, or Ole Miss or somebody else. And then you get to the college football playoff and it's wide open. So
wide open for you.
Wide open. I mean, you look at how everybody played this week. There's not a elite team that stands out. A lot of people are going to say Ohio State. I watched Ohio State last night play Purdue. Purdue is a 2-win team. Purdue was up 3-0 for a little bit. It was a sloppy game. Ohio State just kind of, they just dominated at the end because they're a better team. But I'm watching Ohio State, Indiana almost slip up against Penn State. And then I'm watching A&M. That, again, the closest Missouri got was 20-7. Okay? This was not a close game. They thought, and I just laugh thinking about it. Mike Elko is a crazy man. He's a madman. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that he went the fake punt to Dalton Brooks, which we got to start.
Well, let's talk about that, man. Let's talk about
that.
The Dalton Brooks.
Where for a 48-yard run.
48-yard run.
And the best thing after the game was he was talking about his high school career and that, they're going, did you ever fake a punt? And he's like, well, I was the punter.
I was the punter in high school.
I don't think a lot of people understand how small
Dalton Brooks did a lot for his high school. So really cool to see, because I've got to tell you, this entire stadium didn't know he had the ball until something happened.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was hard to see it. Like on camera view, you can see it immediately. But yeah, if you're in the stadium or even in the press box, that's tough to see because you're kind of seeing the guy run away.
Yeah, from my vantage point, I had a lot of Mizzou fans who I was with for this game go, why is our player still looking back at the guy he's guarding on the punt return when the ball is right behind him?
Yeah. But to do it in that situation, up 20-7, Missouri has that little bit of momentum after scoring. And you just don't care. You're like, I'm gonna pull your throat out. I'm gonna finish this thing. And again, that's just a winner's mentality. And having a guy like Dalton Brooks, who's already become one of the better safeties in the SEC, he's one of the fastest defenders. I've seen in a while, and you can tell because he played running back in high school. I remember when A&M landed him. It was in the 23 class, I believe. Yeah. And again, you just watch the tape. Kid did everything, and it's not surprised that that's translating right now, and that it's really all coming together. But yeah, good for Brooks, man. It was just one of those career games you love to see for players like that. Obviously, he had a couple off-field moments that weren't great, but he's been playing so well week in and week out. I mean, even when he was out for, I think, a couple games this season, you could tell like that speed was gone. They had some issues against the run. It's just he's such an important piece to what they're doing, and having guys with that amount of speed compared with Damian Sanford and obviously Torian York. I mean, this is the reason why this defensive pass rush and that third down defense, which again
is still, what is it, 20% still, less than 20%?
It's 20%. They did have, I think, 4 or 5 conversions, but mainly they were short and it was running. So, I mean, they weren't in third and long, so they were converting more of the short third downs. Either way, A&M, when it was like 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, any third and long, it wasn't happening. I mean, it just wasn't happening. I mean, that is such a weapon for them to have. And having a guy like Brooks who, him and Sanford after the game basically said that Mac Rhodes, his comments, which we didn't really talk about because that was happening during this show last Tuesday, pointed out that we didn't put them at number 1 or number 2 because of their defense. And that was really blanket and didn't really make any sense. But then you look back and go, okay, he watched the Arkansas game. That's the only reason he's saying that. But they said, look, that put a chip on our shoulder in this game to prove we are a good defense. This isn't just an offensive team that can score points. We can shut you down. Yeah, again, we're going to allow some yards on the ground. It is what it is. But your offense isn't going to be able to complement itself, both sides, because we're going to shut down either the pass or the run. You can't really do anything perfectly, and you can't stick to your game plan. And we've seen that all season outside of Arkansas. But again, every team, if Ohio State doesn't have one of those games, fine. Not the greatest schedule, I'm going to be honest with you. But we saw Oregon last night with Iowa. That was a game that they had to win in the final seconds with, by the way, an immaculate catch. I mean, gee, that's the way you get a conversion.
What a throw and what a catch.
Yeah, and that's the way you have to win games. And they're tight contests, and it's going to come down to the final play, and that was the case with Arkansas. You can look at the numbers. You can look at allowing over 500 yards, but then looking at the rest of the season and judging them based off of that is dumb, and it doesn't make any sense. And so I really do hope that they look at the full, outside of the stats in this game. Again, I'm tired today, so I'm mixing my words up.
Guys, we've had a long 24 hours.
Long weekend. But the full scope of this game, and don't just look at the numbers. Don't just look at what they gave up. You have to look at the situations and how A&M dominated, and basically, Eli Drinkwitz before earlier in the week said we didn't really want to change much. We felt comfortable with what Zollers could bring. We felt comfortable sticking to the offense that we run with Bo Perbilla in the lineup, and it didn't work. And, like I said, I agree with you. I'm going to be very interested to watch Missouri the rest of the season, and I guarantee they're going to look better, further proving that A&M is one of the toughest teams to face on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, definitely one thing where it's not only the stats that you look at on the paper sheet, it's how you feel within the core of that either offense or defense. But I think we'll end the show off this with some, paper reading stats, right? I think that this is one thing that I think we need to touch on, because before in the previews of this game, senior safety Jacob Catalon from Missouri said that we have to make Marcel Reed play quarterback.
And he did.
It looks like he played quarterback today. So 7.6 averaging per pass. A lot of those incompletions were in that first half. So all those things I said that earlier in this reaction show it was missing a couple people over the middle. It was misplacing where he thought the wide receiver was going to be. And then in that second half, we saw a widely different array of sets where it was Marcel Reed calling an audible for Casey Concepcion for a 47-yard screen pass touchdown. correctly identifying a blitz. It was those moments that made me say, this guy is playing quarterback today. We didn't see a lot of runs from him. We really didn't.
There was a key run. There was a 28, and that's the thing. And that's why he had a fantastic game. The Carter Carrolls of getting 24/7 actually pointed out on X during the game, why aren't they utilizing his legs a lot? I saw that it's RPO. Yes, he can pull it. He can run with it. But I think he was looking at the situation of, I've got these 2 wide receivers who are killing you on screens. You're getting chunk gains almost every play. We can dink and dunk the ball down the field. We can utilize our run game, which really opened up in the second half. And I think after Ruben Owens' 57-yard run, he said, look, I got to end the game. He had a 28-yard run, just darted, and it just opened up. He said, screw it. I got to get this first down. Got to end this game. That's what a good quarterback does. He doesn't have to use his legs every play. I get if they're open there, but I think he ran a little too much against LSU, to be honest with you. I do not want this young man to get hurt. He is so vital to what A&M is doing this season. So run when you have to, but if you can deliver strikes in the pocket and utilize the speed on the outside, you're golden. And the fact is that there was a pass. This is why I know that Marcel Reed is one of the best quarterbacks in the country right now. That pass that he layered to Mario Craver, where actually I think he went to injury time after, he's fine. But that was one of the best passes I've seen all season. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that he delivered that thing. He's confident. He trusts his mechanics. He trusts everything about his game. And most importantly, him and Colin Klein are on the same page. So Marcel Reed is playing lights out right now. Not the big, he didn't have like this huge game, a Heisman game. But you know what? Doesn't matter, because everything else was working for the Aggies on offense. So it's going to be very interesting. And you know what? We'll mention this on Tuesday, but I think he's going to have a huge game on Saturday afternoon.
I think you and I are on the same page for that. Yeah. So we'll recap that over on Tuesday. Hopefully, I get some text back. We'll find some South Carolina rider. But if not, you'll have old Cameron and myself on that show for Tuesday at 7.
Yep. And we'll sound a lot better. It's Sunday afternoon after another game, so we'll be in better mental shape there. But as always, you guys can follow me at Cameron Odyssey on X. You can follow Cannon at Torres Cannon. You can follow all my work at Aggies Wire, part of USA Today Sports. Cannon, obviously, plug your Patreon as usual.
Yeah, you can also find me over on Patreon at Bell Tower Intel, covering all your football and basketball stuff for Texas A&M.
All right. And on Tuesday, we'll be back with potentially guests. We will see to preview South Carolina in Kyle Field. A&M returns. I think it's the first game since Florida.
So
it's been almost a month. It's been a long, long time. So that place is probably going to. I'm going to be honest. I think the number's sold out. I would think. You're 9-0, 6-0. We will see. It's going to be 11 a.m. game. I think it's going to be close to it because Aggie fans, especially in the area, have been waiting to cheer this team on live who didn't get to go to the road games. So, it's going to be bonkers. And again, early games always favor the home team.
Absolutely.
Years past. So I think A&M's been pretty good. But, a little bit of a trap game. So we'll see. But as always, enjoy your victory Saturday, which you've been doing every week now. A&M is 9-0, again 6-0 in the SEC, one of the only undefeated teams in the SEC. It's going to be very exciting these last few games. But as always, gig 'em, and we'll see you next Tuesday.